Hi guys, how are you? I hope that you are doing pretty much fine, taking the necessary precautions from your homes with your respective families. I have prepared a small and simple material for you with the idea of having more concise material to study for your third partial exam on your literature class. So let's see how it goes. How to preserve one's mind in a society where free will, self-expression, and curiosity are under fire will be one of our principal objectives, or at least it shall be whenever you have decided to read Fahrenheit 451. The writing style of Fahrenheit 451 is lyrical and descriptive. Bradbury's poetic prose makes frequent use of similes, metaphors, and personification. Bradbury's lyrical and adjective-heavy writing style enriches the story, endowing it with symbolic meaning. For example, Fahrenheit 451 contains a thematic preoccupation with fire. Fire appears throughout the novel, but the symbolic meaning of fires undergoes a transformation over the course of the story. Bradbury's use of figurative language plays a very important role in this transformation. At the beginning of the book, fire symbolizes the pleasure of destruction. Bradbury uses one long, breathless sentence to capture the violent pleasure of setting the world on fire, and fire becomes at once an emblem of danger, the great Python, and a mark of artistry, the amazing conductor. By the end of the novel, however, fire becomes a symbol not for destruction but for life instead. Near the book's conclusion, Bradbury provides an image of the sun as its own source of flame and hence as a symbol for self-knowledge and internal drive. And what lights the sun? Its own fire. And the sun goes on day after day, burning and burning. Burning no longer destroys. Instead, the perpetual fire of the sun keeps the world alive. So in this slide, you are able to read about the historical context of Fahrenheit 451, which we already did as well in classroom. The Hearth and the Salamander focuses on Montag's job as a fireman and his home life. The hearth or fireplace is a traditional symbol of the home, and the salamander is one of the official symbols of the firemen, as well as what they call their fire trucks. Both of these symbols have to do with fire, the dominant image of Montag's life, the hearth because it contains the fire that heats a home, and the salamander because of ancient beliefs that it lives in fire and it is unaffected by flames. Montag enjoys his job, burning books, and takes great pride in it. At the beginning of the novel, it largely defines his character. The opening passage describes the pleasure he experiences while burning books. He loves the spectacle of burning and seeing things change by the fire, and his fire-induced grin seldom leaves his face. He even loves to smell of kerosene, which never quite washes off his body, and which he describes to Clarice as perfume. As we learn later in the book, Montag's society has abandoned books in favor of hollow, frenetic entertainment and instant gratification. At the beginning of the novel, Montag, like everyone else, disdains what he does not understand, and by burning books, he creates a spectacle that pleases the frightened masses. He has a position of respect in his society, and Clarice's lack of respect or fear of his authority is one of the ways in which she first distinguishes herself from the general population. Clarice seems older to Montag than she really is, even older than his wife, who is 14 years her senior. Mildred seems childish by comparison, perhaps because very little goes through her mind that has not been put there by the vapid television and radio media. Technology has replaced actual human contact for Mildred, just as it has for most of the city's population. She refers to the people in her interactive TV parlor walls as her family. She and Montag do not sleep in the same bed, and she seems anxious for him to leave for work in the afternoon. Although most of the people in Montag's world are completely uninterested in nature, their culture abounds in animal references such as the mechanical objects called Snake and the Hound. The only natural force that people maintain any interest in is fire. However, even fire, once one of the most basic of necessities of human life, has lost its utility and it is used primarily for entertainment. The mechanical hound continues the paradoxical theme of living but not living. Like Mildred and the snake-like machine that pumps her stomach, the hound is simultaneously like and not like a living thing. It is unlike a real dog in that it is made of metal and has 8 legs and a needle in its muzzle that extends and administers a lethal dose of anesthetic. The possibility that someone may have purposely set the Hun sensors to react hostilely to Montag foreshadows trouble with an enemy in the fire station, as does his interaction with Betty, who seem to suspect that something is going on with Montag. Montag is conscious of feeling vaguely guilty around Betty, but he does not know the exact origin of his feeling. And eventually, Montag begins to feel alienated from the other firemen. He realizes suddenly that all the other firemen look exactly like him, with their uniforms, psychics, and grafted-on sooty smiles. This is simply a physical manifestation of the fact that his society demands that everyone think and act the same. He used to be with the other firemen on games of releasing animals for the hunt to catch and kill, but now he just lies in his bunk upstairs and listens every night. He starts to question things no other fireman will ever think of, such as why alarms always come in at night and whether this is simply because fire is prettier then. This explanation makes perfect sense in a society as caught up in a superficial aesthetics as Montag's and is in keeping with the novel's portrayal of book burning as a kind of ghoulish entertainment. Batty's character becomes more complex here as he speaks to the woman. He summarizes his reasons for burning books, saying that none of the books agree with each other and that many are merely subversive lies about people who never actually lived. He compared books which contain thousands of varying opinions to the Tower of Babel, the biblical structure that caused the universal human language to be fragmented into thousands of different voices. More further in the book, the question of individual agency arises again when Montag steals the books. He perceives his crime to be automatic and observes that it involved not thought on his part, that his hands committed the crime on their own. Montag's thoughtless actions here recall Mildred's unconscious overdose. Both actions result from a hidden sense of dissatisfaction that neither Mildred nor Montag consciously acknowledges. Before continuing with the summary of our book, there are some key facts about Fahrenheit 451 that you shall be able to study and remember throughout, well, your life, I guess. In this case, the full title, we have when it was written, where was it written, when published, the literary period, in this case, modern America, the genre, dystopian novel, the setting, the climax, the antagonist, and the point of view, obviously, that it is in third person. Trying to go again to the summary of the book, An important symbol is expressed in the title of the second section of the book, The Sieve and the Sand, which comes from Montag's childhood memory of trying to fill a sieve with sand on the beach to get a dime from a mischievous cousin and crying at the futility of the task. He compares this memory to his attempt to read the whole Bible as quickly as possible on the subway in the hope that if he read fast enough, some of the material will stay in his memory. The sand is symbolic of the tangible truth Montag seeks, and the sieve of the human mind seeking truth. Truth is elusive, and the metaphor suggests impossible to grasp in any permanent way. While you go over the list of the characters of the book, just remember a very important thing from the second part of the book itself. When Montague opens his book of poetry to Dover Beach, the poem, remember, that we work with someday at school, which is a quite appropriate to his circumstances as it deals with the theme of lost faith and of the capacity for personal relationships to replace faith. The poem also deals with the emptiness of life's promises and the unthinking violence of war. Shortly afterward, Montag has a Shakespearean moment when he turns to the fire station and compulsively washes his hands in an attempt to clear his guilt, feeling they are gloved in blood, a clear reference to Lady Macbeth. Eventually, Bradbury further develops the opposition between Faber and Beatty in this second section of the book. Beatty seems vaguely satanic, as if he and Faber are fighting over Montag's very soul. When Montag returns to the fire station, Beatty spouts learned quotations like mad and uses literature to justify banning literature. He hints again at similarities between himself and Montag, saying that he has been through Montag's phase and warning that a little knowledge can be dangerous without further knowledge to temper the revolutionary spirit it produces. Faber tells Montag to consider Beatty's argument and then hear his, and to decide for himself which side to follow. Here, he lets Montag make his own decision and stops ordering him around. Beatty's use of literature against Montag is brilliant. This is obviously the most powerful weapon he has against Montag's doubts. So in this case, you can see some themes, analysis, well, not the analysis, but some themes that you can analyze for yourself, and you also may use the information that has been uploaded in Google Classroom literature class. You can talk about mass media, censorship, knowledge versus ignorance, technology, dissatisfaction, conformity versus individuality, distractions versus happiness, and action versus inaction. So this is going to be part one of this study material. I am going to be uploading the part two in a few minutes. So see you on our next digital video and visual material. See you later, kids.